Hi, everybody. My name is Margot, and my company is Hostfully. This is actually not about Hostfully at all. I wanted to congratulate you because if you're here, you're already building a B2B company, and congratulations to you because that's a really smart move. Building B2B companies means that you're going to get more from your customers, it's going to be easier to de-risk your company, and you're going to be able to get to profitability faster. We didn't start there, so this is a little bit of a presentation about our mistakes. But I wanted to talk about this story, which is the little engine that could, and for those of you who have kids, maybe you've read this story before. This story is about a train that could not get over a mountain, and so it needs to ask other trains for help. And the train that ends up winning, or actually ends up helping, is a small blue train. It's actually a girl train in 1930. Like, who would have guessed? It's a female character that saves the day. But she actually takes this train over the mountain, and she says this phrase, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, which is wonderful for anyone to be saying, your kids, yourself, your spouse, anyone else in your life. The story really emphasizes two things that I think are critical for any company building, which is optimism and hard work. The optimism is the little train's thought that she could potentially do this. She's actually the smallest train that they ask for help, but she still can get through it. And the hard work is that it's hard work. She's got to go over a mountain. She's got to carry a bunch of cars behind her. And the story is all about how those things put together can make for a winning situation. And that's kind of how I feel where we are with Hostfully. Our story starts with not earning thousands of customers or hundreds of customers or even $10 per customer per month for our business, but zero. We started out with a consumer model for Hostfully where we were selling nothing. We had a free product. It was a digital guidebook platform that we were trying to get into the hands of Airbnb hosts so that they could create a better experience for their guests. It was providing value to them, and they were signing up and creating content on the platform, but we weren't making enough money out of it. And so what I want to go through today is how did we get from 0 to 10 to hundreds to thousands of dollars with our customers, and how you might be able to take some lessons from our experience to build your company. So start out with some good news. We went to the Airbnb host conference in 2015. It was in Paris, and it was beautiful there. And we talked to people and said, hey, would you be willing to use our product? And they said yes. 98% of them said yes. And they even said, yeah, I'd be willing to pay for it. So we got really excited. We built this product, and the price point was zero. So we were going after a B2C model at the time. The climate, frankly, for fundraising was quite a bit different. In 2015, we still saw a lot of travel startups going down this free product route. Travel startups trying to optimize the quality of your vacation. At that time, I don't know if you remember, but you could come to the Presidio and download an app, and there'd be something that would detect your location and pop up notifications when you get to certain spots. And people in the travel industry were really enamored with this idea of localized, personalized travel experiences. Fast forward to today, all those startups are dead. So that's what we were starting in, and we thought, oh, this is a great idea, and we were excited to scale this product to millions of users, riding off the backs of Airbnb's growth. We were expecting to get commission revenues off of all the purchases that customers were making on our platform, and we were going to grow through referrals and virality. And we actually did a decent job of referrals. Within launch, we had about 300 users actively using the product. It was within 60 days, so that's pretty cool. But we had a problem. We had actually several problems. One is that our business was just scaling too slowly. Even though we had a great hook, we were providing value to the end customer and also the Airbnb hosts themselves, we just couldn't grow fast enough in order to make the business meaningful. And we needed to start to pay for growth. And that means paying a consultant, paying the social media platforms and other SEO and advertising platforms. And that means we had to raise a lot of capital. Okay, so we got hundreds of users paying nothing for a product, and we're riding off the coattails of Airbnb. At that time, a lot of people said, well, why doesn't Airbnb just do this? And we had no money that we had raised. So that was really difficult. Unless you're a multiple-time founder and you can go and paint this huge vision about that happening, which is unlikely, we were not going to raise a lot of capital. We started to try to charge small subscriptions to some of our customers to see if we could monetize that way, but still it was too small. So we sort of dead in the water, which was really sad. My co-founder David, who's not here, it was his idea to start this company because he was an Airbnb host, and he was really passionate about this idea, and we started to realize even though this idea had a lot of energy behind it, it just was not going anywhere. So we went to Hawaii. I'm not joking, actually. We went to Hawaii. We joined an accelerator called Blue Startups, and Blue Startups is located in Oahu. We spent a lot of time at Blue Startups figuring out what we wanted to do. So at the time, we were charging a handful of customers some subscriptions. Let's say, I think we had like 1,000 to 2,000 in monthly recurring revenue from those subscriptions. And we had a lot of freemium users. And we got encouragement from our coach at Blue Startups, her name is Shanawa Farnsworth, to go up market. And she saw a lot of opportunity for property managers to be using our solution. So we started talking to property managers and asking them the question, what is impossible to do today around this product that you would like to do? And we made a laundry list. We were like, okay, here we go. Here's our list. So a laundry list. Well, I want an admin dashboard. I want a way to make sure that all my guests have a great experience, but do it in a scalable way. So I want to have it be administered by my staff and have one click of a button make multiple changes across the system. I want to be able to edit all those different recommendations I'm giving to my travelers. I want to be able to search within our admin tool. I want to be able to distribute across hundreds of guidebooks and hundreds of properties all at once. I want to be able to provision guidebooks differently depending on the person who's looking at them. So the traveler has a certain experience with the product, and then the administrator has a certain experience with the product. Maybe there's even an in-between user there. I want to have scalable print options so that I can print the content in this guidebook better. I want to be able to remarket to the customers who come and stay with me. I want to have white labeling. So these were all, this is just the start of a list of features that we used to actually build the product. And so we built that product. We also, in doing so, had to change substantially a number of things within our operational model. This is stuff where I actually want to spend a little time focusing on, because this is, if you are a founder, what you should be thinking about in terms of building your company. This is like when we become to B2B and the interesting part for you. So first of all, we had to think about our sales process. We had to build a sales process. We had no sales process at that time. So it was like, do we have a phone call? Do we not? Is it a video call? What kind of slides are we showing to the customer at that time? Do we send them a proposal right during the call? What does the proposal look like? What is the pricing of the proposal? What are our main value propositions? That was all had to be engineered at that point. We also started to look at pricing models. We had to figure out how we were going to be able to do value-based pricing, which means that as the customer's value increases on the platform, how does our price point go up? So we did a lot of engineering around our pricing model. We had to develop a customer support model. What happens when things break or people don't know how to use the product? We had to figure out how to onboard customers, and we also had to do training and documentation. And so this is like the list. If you're building a B2B startup and you haven't gotten started yet actually engaging with customers, this is the list of things that you should be focused on. The byproduct of this whole experience, though, that I actually think is a differentiator for our company is that we came out of this with a leading brand. A leading brand because, one, our software kind of has an intuitive, consumer-friendly feel to it, and two, because we were very thoughtful about this. Oops, how do I go back? Oops. We were really thoughtful about this checklist. And so when customers talk to us today, they feel that the Hostfully brand it's kind, it's supportive, it's there when you need it, it's not pushy. We do not overly sell into our customer base, something like Christy was saying. Our customers have actually complained that they don't feel that they hear from us enough about the new features and functionality that we're developing. They would like to see how we can help them more. So I know Christy talked a little bit about like the harassment that a customer can feel when a company's trying to sell to you and you don't want the product that they're buying. I would say our customers have actually complained about the opposite, that they like working with us so much they want to see more from us. They want to see how we can help them more. So that's really what a great brand is about. And I chose this image because we are kind of a huggy team. Like we've met a lot of our customers at industry conferences, and we're very friendly and warm with them. And even when things are not going wrong, like they're not paying invoices, our product is sucking, things are breaking, there's still a lot of really positive rapport between us and our customers. And I think it's been a really big differentiator for us in our industry. Okay, so that tells you the story of how we got from here to here. This used to animate, but I had to switch the slides around at the last minute. But the next step is how we got from here to here. And this is really the important thing. If you're going to raise seed, this is where you want to get to as a B2B company. When we started, when we were here, I remember thinking to myself, oh, I wish I was like one of those big marketing tech companies that would close like hundreds of $1,000 deals, or and be able to get like 5 customers on board, get to $1 million ARR, and then go raise seed. But now in hindsight, I actually am really excited about where we are, because we have a number of smaller customers that are paying us hundreds or thousands of dollars. And our MRR growth has been slow and steady, but very healthy. We are not seeing a lot of churn, and so our business is very de-risked at this point. We actually had a cash flow positive month in August, and so we're feeling really good about that. So let's talk about this second half of the story. Okay, so we took a hard look at what we were doing for our customers, which were these digital guidebooks. And if you think about running any small business, you want to do 2 things. You want to grow the top line revenue, you want to reduce costs, and you want to make your customers happy. Pretty simple, right? The category that we were in was really making customers happy. Maybe a little bit of saving money, but mostly making customers happy. And that is just not the most urgent pain point that our customers had. And so we took a hard look at ourselves and we said, we have to change what we're doing. Otherwise, this company is never going to grow in the way we want it to. And so we started asking ourselves some questions, or asking our customers some questions like, what is the hardest area of your business today? It has nothing to do with our product, but what do you find it most painful to do today? What would you like to make easier? Also, if you could wave a magic wand and fix something in your business, what would it be? And it kept leading us down the same path, which was, I hate my property management software. I don't like using it. It doesn't work, and I don't feel like it helps me get the most I can out of my business. Same answer over and over again. We interviewed like 100 customers, and we got that 85 times. So this is where the story gets a little bit interesting, because the property management software is not at this price point or this price point. It's here. So it starts to get us into an more interesting story in terms of how much money we can make for each customer. At the same time, we also wanted to take a step back and make sure that we were in an industry that was large enough and healthy enough to sustain the kind of growth that we wanted to see. And we knew this industry was big, but we also wanted to take another hard look at it and make sure that there was opportunity there. So the vacation rental industry is a $100 billion industry, and it's growing to $285 billion by 2025. Even if you discount this by half, it looks great, right? So you're like, okay, big industry. At the same time, this is something that very few people know. Airbnb has a small part of this industry. In 2014, they had only 4%. They were actually second to HomeAway. And let's say today they've doubled their market share. They still only have 8%. So it's a huge industry. A ton of it's offline. And there's a lot of different players in it, small and big. But the thing that Airbnb has done in our industry that's changed the game is they've increased consumer sensitivity to pricing and booking speed. So just like Christy was talking about earlier, we expect to book vacation rentals like we book hotels, but 10 years ago that was different. We were willing to send in a fax or make a phone call, right? So this has changed the dynamics in the industry and forced everybody to get online, get their shit together. So this is all great news for our startup. And we said, okay, this combined with I hate my property management software leads us to some interesting conclusions. So we did a huge pivot. We did something that's pretty unconventional. I have not heard of any other startup doing this. We merged with another startup. And the merged startup CEO, Stefan, is here in the room with me today, so feel free to talk to either of us about this. We merged with a company that made great property management software. And we had already been working with Stefan and his team for over a year when we did the merger. And we merged for a bunch of reasons, which I'll go through here. But this was a way for us to instantly open up the aperture of our value proposition and help our customers do more, which is what they wanted from us to begin with. So the first thing we got was an awesome team. Stefan and his team were pretty much engineers. Hostfully's management team was mostly business side people. We had engineers working for us too, but it was the leaders on the team were business side. So combined, we had a really strong technical and business side team that we put together. And we'd also been working with each other for a long time, so we knew that we could work together. The second thing we got was 2 offerings for each customer. So the merger ended up doubling the effectiveness of every go-to-market effort that we made. Every single lead that comes in, we've got not one thing to sell them, but 2. And it's not even one thing to sell them that might be tens or hundreds of dollars. It's actually 2 things that might be like tens of thousands of dollars together at the end of the day. So that really changed things. And then we also were addressing that one urgent problem that we heard from our customers over and over again, which was, we want you to help us with our crappy property management software and do more there. So we expanded the value prop overnight. Our investors were really excited, and it was also a nice way to get some PR too. So that is how we got from here to here. I also wanted to just call out Accelerprise. Whitney Sales is going to be speaking from Accelerprise later. This is the second accelerator that we were in around this time, and they are a SaaS-focused accelerator. So for many of you that are thinking about B2B, growing a B2B company, I encourage you to check them out. The managing director is Mike Cardamone, who works with the Sasser Fund. And so having us be in Accelerprise and be exposed to those types of investors and other types of companies was a great launch pad for our continued growth. Okay, so now we're at the part of the presentation that I think is actually useful to you, and I wanted to spend a good amount of time, I've got 10 minutes left, talking about this. Just a side note, these are all pictures of my children. This is my 5-month-old Eden. And the first thing that I think is the most important thing as a startup founder is to be curious. And it's not to be curious because you have to be curious. It's actually to be curious because you love it. Like, you should be doing this because you love it, because you're probably not going to make money, like chances are, right? So if you love learning and you love to be curious, go and be in a startup. It's a great place to be. You will always be learning. You will find out that you do not know anything about lots of different areas of running a business. And I wanted to go through some of the specific things that I've learned that have made this really fun for me. The first thing is that we are total newcomers to this industry. I do not come from vacation rentals. I do have a unit in my house that I've rented out a few times, but I really I was not an expert on the industry. Now I am. I know this industry in and out. I'm always discovering more. I love learning from companies in the industry, from investors in the industry, watching it grow. It's really fascinating, and at this point I feel like I am more of an expert than any Gartner researcher would ever be on this industry, and that's been really fun. I'm also a student and curious about our customers. These customers are people all around the world in different nationalities. They're hustlers. They're trying to make a good living, and we are just trying to help them. So the more I can be curious about what their lives are like, what their needs are, how they run their business, what makes them really excited to wake up in the morning, what are the challenges that they're facing, the better CEO that I can be. The third thing is business models. So this is a little bit of an academic angle, but you should really be curious about business models, and you should understand why a SaaS business model is de-risking your business. You should understand what it really means to go from an ACV at average, the ACV from like 20,000 to 70,000. What does that typically mean for companies? You should be also really knowing what a commission revenue model should look like. You should know the benchmarks around all the different ways that you should be and can be earning money. This is something that we're continuing to explore, but you should be curious about that, and you should always be asking questions there. You should also be curious about and asking questions about operations. How can you do things in a more automated way? How should you not do things in an automated way? What things should require a personal conversation? What things require just an email? You should be always trying to fine-tune your operations to help your team and make everybody feel good and safe, and I'll talk more about that later. But operations are something that is oftentimes overlooked, and fortunately I have a great business partner who is really passionate about building scalable operations and has put that into our company from day one. The final thing is be curious about investors. It took me about a year to realize that asking investors questions about their money, them raising money, their fund, their goals with the fund, how they did the last round, why are they at that company to begin with, those are all totally reasonable questions to ask investors. It makes you look like a way smarter fundraiser when you ask them. One of our investors is super transparent with me around the LPs that are coming on board, where they're coming from, how much they're investing, why they're investing, when the funds are going to come in, are they going to do follow-on, and you should be curious about your investors and what categories they fall into in terms of growth. I have so much that I've learned about investors and VCs and how to get them comfortable with your business idea, but also get them comfortable with you as a steward of their money, right? Their capital. Because venture capitalists are ultimately on the line for raising money for their LPs, and so the more you can do to create a shared understanding between you and your investor, the better. They're going to feel really good about you and investing in your company. The second thing is to see clearly when things are not going well. This is my 4-year-old, Erin. If you have ever had a 4-year-old, you know there's a lot of whining and complaining at 4. And so I like using this picture. But one thing I've realized that startups do, and that is a mistake, is that when things are not going well and when things are not working, they don't get to a moment quick enough to say this is not going to work out. And I don't want to bash my optimism story, because that's not what this is about. This is just about seeing it for what it is. So the first thing is to beware of the trap of your own idea. If you are solving for your own pain point, you could end up in a trap thinking that everybody thinks the way you do, and likelihood is that they don't. So really watch out for the trap of your own idea. Do your customer research very carefully and thoughtfully. If you do that, you won't fall into this trap. You also will end up inflating your market size if it's your own idea that you're solving. So just be careful of that. The second thing is to use data to inform your decisions. One of the benefits that I think I had with David, my co-founder, is that I wasn't the user of our product, and so I was constantly pushing back on his assumptions around usability. And so when we would get into an argument about stuff, we would just use data. We would interview customers. We would go out and look at market data, and we would put our own kind of biases aside and just focus on the data, and that was really helpful. The second thing is to build models. So if you see your growth and it's like going in a certain direction, just model it out. Say, well, what if we grew this way for 5 years? Where would we be? Or what if we spent this much money for 5 years? Where would we be? You really should have a little like flexible financial model, which I actually just shared with Stefan and David yesterday, that you're always like sort of tweaking just to see what would happen. It's like, well, what if we cut our churn in half? Or what if we doubled our customer acquisition rate? Like, what would that look like? You should be playing around with that to see where the business would go. And the final thing is perseverance. Going back to the original idea of this talk, which is the little train who says, I think I can. This is my son, Ben, working at this typing program. And one of the things that has helped me, both in this company and also in my marriage, frankly, is that success is a foregone conclusion. That sounds crazy in startup world, but I really think it's gotten me through, which is like, I don't know how we're going to get to where we're going to go, but I know it's going to be great. You have to be that person in your company to say that over and over and again to yourself and to your team. And I think if you build this idea in your team that success is a foregone conclusion, you can start to shape the decisions in front of you more clearly. If you are seeing the data and you're really honest with yourself about where you are. It builds a lot of goodwill and trust, and it takes the fear out of the decision making, like the previous speaker was talking about, right? The second that you can take fear out of the picture, you can make better decisions, you can be more mindful, you can work with your team better. So that's super important, and I would try and do that as much as you can. Maybe that's delusional, but hey, it's gotten us this far, so it's working. The second thing is that team morale is super important. You should care and love your team, care for and love your team, help them persevere. Your job is to support them and help them be the best they can be. And so if something is not going well in your team, it should be your top priority. And then the third thing is to build a lot of trust. And I can't say enough about trust and psychological safety. I know people talk a lot about these in an academic way, but I think at the end of the day, it is about demonstrating through what you do. So like if you make a mistake, or if you're feeling scared or nervous, like you just tell your team. And doing that, or you even tell your investors, like doing that really opens up this conversation around what people's fears are, what their misgivings are, and it can help them get to that success is a foregone conclusion kind of mentality. So the Hostfully story is to be continued. We're doing great, and we've grown a lot. I hope that you all will hear an announcement about us in the next few months about our upcoming raise. I can't share too many details about that, but I'm really happy to speak with anybody here about questions you might have. I have a couple of minutes left, but thank you so much for your time, and I hope this has been helpful for you. Any questions? No? All right. Thank you.